Hi, I'm Smiles of Miles, and welcome back to Pixel Dailies, where I show off all of my pixel art I did for a month. Valentine's Day is approaching, and that compels me to thank all of you who viewed my last video. It got more views than I thought I could ever get. I have learned a lot since last time, and I hope you enjoyed this month's Pixel Dailies. Starting off this month, we had Game Board. Now, thankfully, I actually filmed my first one this month, so you can see what I made. And I was inspired with Game Board to make a classic game we all know and love, Jumanji. I didn't use any special art techniques on this one. This is a pretty straightforward one. I wanted to start out pretty easy for the month. Right here though, my girlfriend brought me over some Chipotle, and I got distracted, forgot I was recording, so there's this very awkward long pause while I'm enjoying a great lunch. You can't say no to Chipotle. Next up, we have a very straightforward one, Apron. I felt a little uninspired by Apron. It was hard for me to come up with an idea until I was reminded of a very specific shirt that sometimes girls will wear in the summertime. I think it will become very obvious to you as this painting goes along. Skeuomorphism. Very odd word. I did not know what this meant when I first saw it, but it means something that used to have a purpose, but now is ornate. A lot of times candles are used as an example for this word. For me, I noticed that car ornaments are actually part of this as well, because there used to be a thermometer that came up from them to check the temperature of the car, and to hide it, you'd put some object over it to make it look a bit nicer, and now we just have them on because they look very pretty. I did a very basic design. There was no inspiration behind this one. I was very happy with it. I did the double-sided, and I loved it so much at the end here, I made a 3D model of it, which I think is just so amazing. Now, if you've seen last month's video, you know I'm a sucker for stamps. Stamps I think are very fun to make, and this theme was patches for this day. And so I obviously had to make a very fun stamp with this one. I felt very autumn themed for the color picking. And overall, this was just a fun example of like doing lots of little things to make texture and build up a convincing looking image overall. And I'm very happy with this one. Next up is a bait, and this one I had a lot of fun with. This is a very funny image to me. I didn't think too much about it, nor did I check kind of perspective or anything like that. I just went for it. I thought it was just very funny to have a perspective of the worm trying to escape the fish. I did use some dithering later on to help provide some better contrast to the image, but this one was very easy. I didn't put much effort into it. I just had a lot of fun with it. Coming upon us is the Year of the Dragon, and that was this theme for this day, and this one I had a lot of fun with. I looked at a lot of example images that you don't see me kind of referring back to, and making a dragon was a lot harder than I thought. I wanted to do more of a fun action pose, but I kind of ended up having these really nice looking eyes that I wanted to really build into, and it just all of a sudden kind of started to come together like I wanted it. I used lots of reference images because I'm personally not very familiar with Chinese culture, and so I wanted to kind of get it some parts right, or parts that I could at least. Eventually, I finished up this dragon. I have to somehow decide what I'm going to put behind it to help give it some more texture. I tried to copy all these cool looking clouds I saw behind all these images, but I also noticed they all had this very faint texture behind them. So instead I decided to replicate that to add some more dynamic motion to the image, you could say. And I think overall it makes it look a lot better. And this is one of my more happy ones, I will say for sure, for the month. In case you've been living under a rock, Mickey Mouse is now public domain. Specifically Steamboat Willie. Technically Mickey Mouse is still copyrighted. And so that was the theme for today for Steamboat Willie. And I basically did this one to avoid drawing Steamboat Willie. I really didn't want to draw him. He's a little too complicated for the amount of time that I wanted to put into this piece. So I decided just to make his hat, which I thought came out pretty decent, and I do add some fun lighting to it, and I think it works. And it's more of like a send-off of like, oh, he's no longer part of Disney, he's part of us now. Square was a very interesting topic. I looked on the forums and everything for this one, the showcase part of Discord, to see what other people would think for Square, because I didn't want to do something that was like just a square or so ordinary. And so I thought it'd be fun to kind of make like a Dr. Seuss type tree where it looks like a tree, but it has properties that wouldn't normally be associated with a tree. This one I actually had a lot of fun doing, and I think would be a fun exercise to make different shaped trees that are very reliant on their shape. I always love using circles to make trees that look more natural, but maybe one of these times I'll make a straight up circle tree or a triangle tree. Next up is Samurai, and I liked making this one a lot because I went back and recreated one of my old Samurai pixel arts I made when I first was starting out. Now, I spent multiple hours making this initial one, and I don't think it looks very good personally, but none of your beginning art really should look very good. And so it was a lot of fun to come back and try to recreate, restylize the piece. And I think since this one took me a half an hour, that I am personally much better as an artist than I was when I first made this piece. I will showcase both of the ends so you can see the difference. Performers are the great people of the world. They give us all these magical moments. And so when the theme of performer came up, I thought I would do one of the most lived, iconic moments in history for music, being Live Aid. And of course, that always makes me think of the great band Queen. I had a lot of fun making them in this minimalist style. I really had to nail down some characteristics that differentiate each one so you could recognize them. Freddie Mercury being the easiest, obviously. You can't mistake him for anyone else. But nailing down the bass guitar and the normal guitar to make them look a bit different, make it so you could tell they were different people, and that made this a lot of fun. Freight. Not many ideas came to mind with freight, but I did eventually remember about these fun houses people make out of the cargo boxes. I thought it'd be fun to kind of do that, but this ended up probably being one of my least favorite of the month. I should have put more effort into it personally, and it really just doesn't impress anyone. I eventually added some windows and a door and a chimney, but there should have been a more clear direction or more planning put into this before I went with it, or just more. It's just too small, too undetailed. Not my favorite. Moving on to Golden, this one inspired lots of many ideas from many people, and really you could do anything Golden. But I thought of what I find very funny television show, The Golden Bachelor, to take some time to kind of write out its own title. Now, I've always loved logo and logo type and then even typography, so I took this as an opportunity to keep trying out some letters, which actually kind of snowballed into multiple of these becoming me testing out how to make different types of fonts with Pixel. I'm not the most proud of this one, but it works, and I think it's really funny. I think I matched the style pretty well from images I've seen. I've never actually watched The Golden Bachelor. I don't even know who he gets with, but this was a very fun prompt. Garden I had a little fun with. I could have done more of a traditional one, but instead I based this off of a game I've been playing when I'm bored called Gardenscape. It's just a match 3 typical game, and I just decided to make all the icons and then put them on a little board for fun. I like this one a lot because it was trying to make a cohesive style between many different pieces, which is a good exercise to practice. I wouldn't say this looks great. I think the lesson I learned from this is I tried to match the style of the game perfectly, and I should have tried to more translate it into pixel art, because it does look a little wonky, a little undetailed, when it looks really good in the game when it's a very clean art style. And so that'd be the main lesson I'd take away from this one, but otherwise I felt like it went pretty well. Have you ever felt like an idiot? Well, maybe not that far, but you may have felt like a dummy, which is the theme for this month. And I had another, again, a fun outing with topography. This time I think it went much better with what I'm calling a company, the Dummy Initiative. Ideally, this company would hire people who are stupid, who want to test things out. And I thought that was just a very comical idea for a company. I spent a lot more time on this one to kind of get the base right, and then a lot of detail went into the topography later that I think makes it pop a lot better. And I can see this being a funny, fictitious, like, video game company. a slider. And the OG slider is White Castle. I bet you can already see I'm kind of trying to form the logo here for White Castle, and I thought what a funny idea would be for a castle to have a knight. And so I tried to make like a mascot logo for White Castle, not that they need one really, but I thought it'd be funny if like at a football game or outside the store you'd see this guy propped up. And he got two nice classic gold sliders in his hands. He really was just a fun one. A lot of fun to try to incorporate the colors. I do love color challenges. I think I'll do more in the future because these are great exercises in practicing how to keep your color count down and also add lots of detail. We're going on a bear hunt, or at least my pixel art is, because for folklore I did some research and figured out that Mother Goose stories are technically like child folklore, and so I wanted to do the 3 phases of going through it, under it, over it, and into the cave to find the bear. This one I thought was very fun, and I also very impressed with myself in this one because I nailed a lot of the textures, which is usually my biggest problem when it comes to pixel art, and so this one was a lot of reassurance that I do know what I'm doing. I'll be honest, I was behind this whole month. I was doing 2 dailies a day to try to keep up, and I was never doing that day's daily. I did edit the video as I went, but I can only do so much in a day. I think this really ate at me and the art, as I believe many of my dailies could have been much better. An axe wielder was this theme, and this was a nice one to do. It was very easy, and I liked the dynamic pose I was able to pull off. Again, another thing I'm trying to challenge myself to do, because a lot of times I just draw very stale poses that don't inspire very much. So I worked a lot on this one to get a more dynamic looking pose, and I think it worked out really well. I'm starting to find too that I'm kind of liking this no detail face look, and maybe that's kind of my style. It might just be because I'm refusing to get better. We'll see as time plays out. I'm gonna be honest, I really did not want to do this theme because it was too challenging, the theme being tiger. But I eventually found inspiration from an older source that some of you might pick up on here pretty soon. Now, of course, eventually I had to make a tiger, but I was able to figure out how to make a bit more of a cartoony one because of what I was basing this off of. And that helped me a lot. I still don't love this tiger, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. The first 2 things that come to my mind when I hear the word saucer is flying saucer and saucer cats drink out of for warm milk. And so I just combined the 2 ideas. It was kind of funny because it ultimately makes sense. Why are aliens always kidnapping cows? Because they're cats and they want more milk in their saucers. That just came about as a very funny pun. I think this one's kind of cute. It could have been a little better, but I'm honestly not disappointed at all. Now did I cook on this day? The theme was poisonous. A lot of people made a lot of great ones I saw for this theme. People were really thinking out of the box for this one. But I thought of a absolute classic. Now mine is not necessarily poisonous, but I think you can track where I'm going because it's the poison for Cusco. I'm hitting them back to back. Another great one I had here. So the theme was Mart, and so I thought of one of my funniest Mart scenes I could think of, which is from Parks and Rec and Ron Swanson and his favorite store, Food and Stuff. And then it kind of came to me too that it was really funny, since I want to go to Food and Stuff, that like it could fix me, which reminded me of the Blade Runner meme that's been going around about like, I can fix you. So I just smashed the two together. This one's very comical. I honestly love this one a lot, and the lighting's really good. A great time for me to kind of work on my ability to kind of color correct things and make it look like more natural. When it comes to game shows, there's a lot of great choices to make here for this theme, but I went with one of my favorite, and that is Wipe Out. Now this one's not very memorable one of the whole month. I would say the coolest part on this one is how well I got the pose and the person. Again, with me and trying to make more dynamic poses, I was really proud of this one. It actually looks like he's jumping out to the big balls to his doom. Overall though, not a super complicated one, just a fun one. It's around now I realized I had made the dailies into a job. I had to get them done. I needed this much time. Those are both lies I told myself. This project I'm doing for fun to track my progress as an artist. I felt I had an obligation to finish the month no matter what, when the only reason I needed was to have fun. Now that I'd kind of gone over my struggles, I really went and expanded this canvas to give me more space to really explore the object, and this one being Pouch. I had a lot more fun with this one, letting myself feel more free. I did struggle with this top part though, trying to make it look like it's all scrunched up, and I think in the end it looks alright. And then I went and did some dithering for the shading. I've seen multiple people do this, showing off their bags, and I thought I would give it a crack at it too, because I don't have a lot of experience doing dithering, and so I thought this would look really nice. And in the end, I'm actually really happy with this one. Now, I love dynamic lighting, and with street light, this gave me a lot of opportunity to try out some fun lighting. For this one, I thought maybe putting a fishbowl at the bottom to mean like freedom or something. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. I had a lot of fun with trying out a different form of having light here with very blocked out levels of light, and then trying to merge them together with fun styles of connections and or shading. And I messed around with it a lot until I came up with this fun curly pattern. And while up close it does look a little odd, if you look at my preview window or just from far away, it strangely works, which I think is the funny part. Now, who doesn't love getting rid of all their money? Because that's what this was with the lottery. I went for a lottery ticket, and I actually didn't enjoy this one a lot. I didn't want to make a lottery ticket just because it had too much detail, but I knew it was something I had interest in making. So I kind of just made this pattern to kind of like fudge detail. And in the end, I think it works. It looks alright, and I'm most proud of the coins I make that go on. I was driven to insanity. With the prompt of mystery, there's so many different things you can choose from. And I ultimately couldn't decide what I wanted to be mysterious. So, I just made the first horrible idea that came to my head. And that's what this was. There's no point in describing it. I think that the detail and the texture looks actually pretty good. I think a lot of the colors work well together. But there's not much else to say about this one. Cartoon, I made a shout out to my girlfriend. She has a plush of Ice Bear from We Bare Bears that she absolutely loves. We both have never seen the show, so I don't know his story or his background, but she loves his expression on his face and thinks it's very funny. I think he's also really cute, and so for this Pixel Daily, I made sure to do a little research on him to figure out more about him. I learned that he was a chef, so I decided to put him in his chef outfit because I know Shu will love that. For desk, I wanted to make my dream future desk. In this layout of a room, I would love to have 2 walls that are completely window. And these windows with LED I could frost at any time to like create privacy. I also would love a nice wooden floor to drive around. Not one with lots of ridges, a flat, maybe even fake wooden floor would work. And I also implemented a mini fridge because you gotta have one of those in your workspace. This would ideally be a working / gaming workspace, and it should be really fun. I was also struggling art-wise with the wooden boards, trying to get them right, and I eventually looked up some references and just copied those, and it made it look a lot better. And you know, never forget just to look up stuff because it could always be really useful to improving your art skill. And then we have roots. And roots was a fun one. A lot of people had lots of fun ideas with plants. I decided to go with an uprooted tree. I don't think the bark turned out amazing on the tree, but the more detail I added, the more it looked alright. And you know, there's so many barks in the world that maybe this one looks like one of them. The roots are really fun. I had a lot of fun, like just making crazy shapes and then getting to say they were just roots. You know, it was fun to not have to worry about what they look like because roots look ridiculous and crazy. Overall, this one's a good one. Now, I accidentally forgot to record the first part of this, so you kind of missed my first draft. But the idea is this is claustrophobic, and so this guy's on some form of public transport, like a plane or a train or something like that. And he's being squished between 2 fat people, a very claustrophobic scenario. I had a lot of fun with this one. I think I really nailed the head size finally, which is always a trouble I have, and I was really able to add some good detail to his face and his discomfort in the situation. I also love how the perspective came out. I didn't really plan on anything, but it just looks nice in the end, and sometimes you just win when you don't even try. And that's the beauty of art. Now, I really didn't want to render 2 more people, so I just kind of imagined they'd both be kind of like jello slime people, and they almost end up looking like lava lamps, so I think it's really funny. It kind of adds to the discomfort factor. For the final prompt of January, I have to shout out one of my favorite dishes because this was custom sandwich. And one of my favorite sandwiches to make is the triple decker. It's basically the Big Mac of PB&Js. It's just a PB&J on top of a PB&J. Not much to it, but there's lots of variety you can make with this because you can keep expanding the sandwich infinitely if you want. I think 3 is a good size, but I've done some 4 and 5s before just for fun. Overall, the peanut butter jam bread I think all kind of came together very nicely, and I almost made a style out of it in the end. And since this one didn't take too long either, I decided to make a fun little wacky background to highlight it and everything. And I like this one a lot. It was a great way to end the month. Coming off my lessons with lingering and requirement, I feel I'll try to stay caught up and have more fun with my art by doing more inspiring pieces that may be more zany or wacky. Art-wise, I feel owed to myself to let my wings fly and try new canvas sizes, new styles, and different techniques. February will be the month of love for my mistakes. Thank you so much for watching. Stay posted for next month's video and any new projects I may start.